Victory is what Ruben Amorim will be aiming for as he takes on Pep Guardiola in his first Manchester derby as boss of the biggest football club in the world. And he says it is possible because the players are psyched up, ready to take on a team that seems to be dilapidated, but not one that you can undermine. Man City is always a big game, especially if they are managed by Pep Guardiola. Now, meanwhile, as United are hoping for that win, one individual from the lot is particularly winning for himself already in Andre Onana, who has for the third time won the best save for the month in the English Premier League since the award was first introduced just a year ago or so. Welcome to the United Sport. My name is Webb. Let's get proper into this whole Man United talk. It's preview day. Certainly, big game on Sunday. That one that Saturday is going to give us a proper idea of where we are as Man United. These tests for me are always good. They're never too early or too late. They always come on time. They're always right on time. Now, listen, Pep Guardiola has been speaking and, of course, talking about how he misses some players, big players, of course, how they don't have Rodri and you don't expect them to perform at the same level without Rodri and, the best player in the world and all these other players that are not there. And he's talking about how he has only three defenders and it means he might have now to improvise, play maybe wingers as defenders or midfielders, attacking as midfielders, as all holding midfielders. I saw Grealish in one game playing as a holding midfielder, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? All that is true. It's a fact. But Man United shouldn't care because I'll tell you, even in their worst format now, Man City is ahead of Man United. So there is absolutely no way for us to be fooled by the personnel. Matter of fact, we should even be more worried about them given now that they come into a derby at probably at their lowest of lows under Pep Guardiola. It certainly means they are going to be dangerous. Never underestimate the power of a sleeping lion or a sleeping giant because they can always wake up and pounce on anyone. I don't trust this whole Pep Guardiola talk of how bad or trying to look somber and sad and trying to look draw sympathy and stuff. You cannot sympathize with Pep. He can pull up something when you least expect him, especially at home against Man United. So, guys, let's focus on ourselves. Now, that said, this is where I'm going to focus on Man United. There is reason for us to, first of all, have a few things to be excited about. Andre Onana had some errors in the previous game. It wasn't his best of games, and people are already drawing back to his first start at Man United and where he was so mediocre. And but this award for the save of the month, for that save against Dilap when we played Ipswich, the first game for Ruben Amorim in charge, that's the save that got him this award. I'm thinking should be the motivation first for him to get better because we know that when Andre Onana is good, he keeps us in the game. I've said it several times here. Andre Onana is single-handedly the reason that why Man United is not in the relegation zone. Because think about all the times Onana has saved Man United, the saves he has made, and how those games could have ended. Onana is single-handedly the reason Man United is not battling relegation yet, if you know what I mean. So give him that credit. So if he's back and motivated by such an award, being the I think has won the most of it before, I think for me it's a beautiful motivation for us going into this game. Now getting proper into the team and in terms of personnel and who will be playing. And again, with Ruben Amorim, it's probably not wise to think you can predict exactly what he's going to do because who expected that Ahmad, for example, would play away from the wing back and now play him as a 10 behind the 9. So you think he's still trying to discover stuff about his players and which players can play multiple positions and where they can go. But what I can tell is probably the back three. I don't expect him, for example, because Delete started and played. I think I think he played the entire game, did he? And I don't think that he's going to then put him on the bench for the next game, an important game against Man City. Because in the name of resting and rotating players, I don't think he's going to bench Rusal Mazraoui, who played the full 95 minutes because he played the last game in the name of resting. I think he has learned very well not to do such. So in the big games, certain big players have got to be there. And when you talk about such big players, you're talking Andre Onana, you're talking Delete, you're talking Lisandro Martinez, you're talking players like Mazraoui. The backline for me should be the same backline. I don't expect any tinkering with that. That is one. He might surprise us again. He loves to do so and bring in a Harry Maguire to play to start in defense ahead of Mathis Delete because of resting and resting. But I think that would be mistake number one. I think he still needs to make use of his best players, even when they have been playing more minutes than everyone else. There must be a semblance of a starting 11 for him now. It's not too early for him to have figured out his starters, at least the core of his team. So I think for me, Mathis Delete should be starting the backline, Martinez and Nusal Mazraoui. Now, and the rest of the positions might be difficult. Of course, Diogo Dallo, because of his hard working, there's always a way of sneaking him into the team because he's a hard worker and stuff. But when it gets to match days, Dallo, rarely impresses. He has failed to be consistent. So you don't know whether he will start him. But what I know is that in the middle, it's certainly going to be Ugarte playing next to Kobe Maino, because Kobe was rested for the full 90 minutes of the last game, just I think with this big derby in mind, because he needs him fresh for that game. He gets tired so fast, it's draining the role he plays in the team. Then Ugarte, who came off the bench, certainly should be there in the middle to start manning it. And then, of course, Bruno ever there. Now, Hoyland certainly should lead from the top because he was rested, first of all, but also is our best striker without a shadow of a doubt. Then the others, again, might be up to him. I think he can go Garnacho. He will go Garnacho, perhaps playing with Bruno, and then take Amad Diallo back to the wide, to the wing back and stuff. I mean, we'll get to see what he does. But I think for the core of the team, you can predict who he's going to bring on. But you see, that will not matter. For me, what will matter is that personality, that raw in the players coming out. It's a derby. It's Man City, dilapidated. The confidence should be there that we can beat them, even in their yard. So the target and mentality should be to go there to beat them, knowing very well that they will also be fighting to protect their fortress, but also fighting to protect their manager, who is under immense pressure. Should be, of course. We know that Man City is a small team, so the pressure is more from people who don't even support Man City than from those who support it. But anyhow, who also doesn't want to lose a second time to the same manager in Ruben Amorim, who beat him with Mino's Sporting Lisbon in their last meeting. So you get a sense that it's going to be a fighting battle at the Etihad Stadium. And for such battles, it's not about who is there. It's about the understanding and appreciation of how big it is. But the character we saw in players like Ahmad and Hoyland fighting each other, after a victory, after a win, I think builds for me into what we want to see in the derby. We may not really get the proper feel of the derby, of this derby, because both teams are not at their lethal best. But I think in terms of attitude, the players, even if they're not as good as they should be, even if the teams are not as good as they should be, their attitude should be one that should be able to deliver an exciting derby for us, hoping that it ends in the favor of Man United. So it's a beautiful time, I think. I feel for me that the comeback victory against Victoria Pleasant as well also built a bit of the character for this team to go into the Man City game with less pressure and more belief, because you can imagine the nature in which we won that game, the fight and how it came. We could even have scored more, probably, especially in the second half, if players were more, there was better cohesion among them. Probably that, I think, for me, leaves unfinished business in the heads and minds of these players. And the beauty is, perhaps most of the players who finished the game, most of those who finished the game, will be the ones starting the game against Man City. So that's for me where I strongly believe United have got every chance in this one. Of course, it's Man City, like I said, no resting on our laurels, but there's reason for us to believe that we can go out there at the Etihad Stadium and get something, pick out something, because it's a tough, crazy couple of fixtures coming for United, fam. Tough fixtures. So one at a time, take it one at a time. Beat Victoria Pleasant, fumbled victory, but take it as it came. Go next, deal with Man City. Don't lose to Man City. Go next, take on your next opponent. You will win games. You could be surprised, by the way, by how much you could achieve in these next difficult, seemingly very difficult fixtures. I think the approach of one game at a time, but also the character we seem to be seeing built in the players and the manager, and how Ruben Amorim speaks about the team, and the details they're trying to improve, and even what we see. Of course, they are still losing balls in terms of trying to pass. I don't expect them to try to outpass Man City. They can never do that. Try to beat them at their game, they will batter you. The only team that can try to match Man City currently is Brighton and perhaps Arsenal when it comes to the passing game. We're not there yet. We cannot put 5 good passes together. It's luck for that to happen. We are still not there. We just need to tactically manage them and try to find ways of catching them. Be clinical when we get the rare opportunities that we'll get in this game. It's possible if the character is built, and I feel it, fam. I feel it in me. Tomorrow, I will be giving you my prediction about that game. Give me yours in the comment section. It's a happy day, because Onana has won an award, and maybe he will be the best version of himself on Sunday. Cheers, fam.